Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another Toolbox Talk webinar. It's the Australian Men's Shed Association, where over the last few weeks we've been having some COVID-friendly conversations with some people that might just be of interest due to their hobbies, habits, pastimes, professions, or projects, or all of the above. We hope you've all managed to log on okay, and remember there's a chat button down the bottom if you'd like to submit any questions for our guest or guests today. You can submit those and we can hit them up with a bit of a Q&A towards the end there. Okay, so our guests today are two people that I had the pleasure of meeting earlier this year at a shed opening in a little town called Robertson on the New South Wales South Coast. One of very few shed openings I managed to get to this year. Of all things, Robertson is the home of the giant spud. I'm sure that's another story entirely, but we'll see what comes about there. It's a beautiful, picturesque little town, and it's like a postcard, but it's also a beautiful community, as you'll find out. Our first guest today is John Kennis, who is the president of the Robertson Men's Shed. But joining him today is Ange Clarke, founder and CEO of Willow, a remarkable newish charity that was inspired by her son, Will, who lives with Autism Spectrum Disorder, but is also a mad cricket fan. I don't want to give away too much of the story, and if I do, I'll probably stuff it up. So without further ado, I would like to introduce John and Ange. Hi, guys. Good to see you both. Good to see you.
Marty.
Thanks for having us. I think it was February this year, I think, the shed opening where I met you both.
February 13 of this year, Marty, was.
So you basically had your official opening and then closed the doors for 6 months or so.
Basically, yeah, that's right. Yeah, because of COVID, unfortunately, it's been a very quiet year.
Yeah.
But it's given us the opportunity to do some, finish off the shed internally sort of thing. So, you know, we've had a working sort of QR code. So we've been able to have a few members there and fix up the shed inside. So
beautiful.
It's been good. So now we're getting there.
All open and going along swimmingly.
It is. We're actually, today I've got the people from the New South Wales government coming to do their final inspection for the grant fund. So, yeah. So,
all right. Good.
So
you should be wearing a tie or something, shouldn't you?
Well, I probably should be. Better dressed up, but I'm all right.
There is.
But no,
so,
yeah, it's good.
So tell us a little bit about Robertson. Why is it the home of the giant spud?
The giant spud. Well, Robertson's known for its potatoes. It's a very, the soil, volcanic, rich red soil is very good for growing potatoes, apparently. So
there you go.
There's probably not as many as there used to be in the past, but there's quite a few. There are a few potato farmers around growing all different types of potatoes. And I think a bloke named Jim Major, actually, who's one of our members of the shed, who's a local, and you're not a local in Robertson unless you sort of got your grandfather buried in the local cemetery.
Yeah.
So, but Jim Major, he's responsible for actually building the big potato.
Yeah, right.
Many years ago. And
I don't think there's much to it. You don't have to be a real Michelangelo to build a giant potato.
Come on. Come on.
I don't want to take anything away from the guy.
It's very photographic, Marty. They on the weekends you see a hell of a lot of people there taking their photographs.
I think they're wondering what it is.
I remember the first time I drove past, I did have to stop to think, what is that? Is it a potato? It's this big brown thing. I think, is there a dinosaur around here somewhere? That's.
It was supposed to be a tourist information centre, but I don't think it ever got to that. So
yeah, it is a beautiful little town, though, as I remember. It's one of those, like I said, picturesque and beautiful towns. So
exactly,
yeah.
The home of Babe, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
That's where you didn't know that? They filmed Babe here.
Wow.
And Jim Major actually has all the a lot of the props and stuff that they used in the movie.
Yeah, wow.
Stored on his farm. So yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. There you go. I learn something every day.
There you go.
Another reason to come back.
Exactly.
Come back. So Ange, I was very, very excited to be able to meet you when we came down there, because I had been alerted to Willow just weeks earlier, before serendipitously the invitation to come down to the shed opening came across the desk. So I think it was someone from the office sent me the link to the current affair program that was about Will and the foundation and how it all started. So for everyone who doesn't know about Willow, could you just give us a brief about how, well, be as bold as you like, about how it all started and what it all is? What is Willow?
Yeah, thanks, Marty. And it was certainly lovely to meet you when you came down as well. I think we seem to have so much to talk about in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
But Willow is certainly not a short story. You know, it has been 25 years in the making, really.
Wow.
As a young mum, when Will was born, we realised very quickly that Will had some delays, and 12 years down the track, he was given the title of being autistic. But it took 12 years to get a proper diagnosis for Will. But in that time, I was very, very saddened to see the lack of options and choices available to Will as a young person living with disabilities. Not only did we lack in services to support him with early intervention, but there were also just such a lack of choices for him to participate in his community. There wasn't opportunities for sport or music or creative pursuits. And it was very, very challenging for us as a family, because not only was Will excluded from his community, but we as a family were excluded. We didn't have the opportunities to be involved in sport, to be involved in music with him, because he wasn't included. And as the years went by, it became so much more difficult as he got older. And it was very, very challenging for us to support Will in his community. And when he finished school, it was even a greater challenge. So I decided to use his love of cricket. He started playing cricket when he was 7. And Will's non-verbal. He's verbal, but he doesn't have this kind of communication level. Yeah. But he absolutely loved cricket, and he kept turning up to the nets year after year after year, just wanting to be involved in playing the sport. So when he finished school, I decided that I wasn't going to leave it up to chance. I wasn't going to leave it up to the various government organisations that were around to support kids like Will to be put into, you know, various factories or community organisations. I decided to start a small business for him. So he started to sand all these cricket bats that he had in the shed, and you know, turn those cricket bats into pieces of usable things, canvases. And I was very quickly connected to Peter Brown, who was an artist. And Pete said, do you want me to, I'll paint one of Will's cricket bats that he's sanded. And I said, great. So he shared that with his community around Australia. And within 3 months, I had 60 artists, including Ben Quilty and Jimmy Barnes. I had the ex-Prime Minister John Howard, 60 artists all up who had created or painted something on Will's canvases. And we had an exhibition. So what turned into an idea to show people Will's ability turned into this little business of Will creating artwork on cricket bats. And, you know, that just hummed along. And within about a year, we had like 200 or 300 artists. We'd been to Melbourne for an exhibition. We'd come back to Kiama. And we're now 10 communities down the track. We've worked with 770 artists. And we now raise money to put back into communities to build inclusive projects.
So just backstep a bit. So Will basically was sanding back the bats, preparing them, and then was he doing that at home? What was he doing? You were finding people, just contacting people, saying, would you paint this bat, and collecting them back, and then you had an exhibition at Robertson there, or?
We were finding cricket bats in you know, resource centres, in people's sheds, at schools. You know, word quickly got around, because I tried to share a lot about Will's story. I really wanted people to understand why we were doing this. I wanted people to see Will's ability. I wanted people to get to know him. So I shared the process of Will sanding the cricket bats so that people would support him in that way. So we were getting these old bats sent to us from all over Australia. People just putting them in the mail. And at the same time, they were sharing their stories of exclusion and isolation and their children, and their stories. And it just became this monumental task. And we were doing this in the evening. I was working, you know, Will was doing his thing, and in the evenings or weekends, we'd be sanding these bats and then resending them back around Australia. And it became
Wow.
very, very challenging because it just grew legs very, very quickly. And I was quickly reminded that I was not alone in this environment of being so isolated. Will's story just opened up this whole new world for us.
Isn't that great? That's one of the biggest things is opening up and finding that there's other people that are experiencing exactly the same thing and forming that community that you do of like-minded people, kind of like the men's shed,
Exactly.
with that group of like-minded people.
That's right. Exactly.
So men's shed get involved. How is the men's shed involved with Willow?
Well, initially, when I first met Angie, probably in 2018, we first met, and she was doing an exhibition here at the Robbo pub, and she needed some assistance from somebody to hang the bats and put up the display.
And you were just down the end of the bar drinking and said, yeah, I'll give you a hand.
Well, yeah.
I turned around and there it was.
There I was, yeah. Yeah, sinking a few.
Convenient.
But anyway, the men's shed, we just sort of put our hand up and thought this is a great opportunity to get involved with something. And we thought, well, yeah, let's assist and hang up the bats. I mean, that's what men's sheds are there for, to assist community and things like that as well, and provide social inclusion. It gave our members something to do as well, and so we got up there, we hung all the bats, and it's grown legs since then. So we then.
And how did that exhibition go?
Really well.
It was very, very successful. We had a full house. There was probably about 250 people jammed into this area of our pub. We sold the majority of the artwork that night.
Yep.
And we've also invested in a not-for-profit here, the Robertson Community Garden, which is an accessible community garden. And we've teamed up with the men's shed here, who are helping us to build the garden beds.
Yep.
And it's going to be a garden for all people, all abilities, to have a place of belonging and to have a place to build friendships. And we're actually underway with the construction of that now. Yeah.
And it just fits in totally with the objectives and that of the men's shed and the philosophy of men's shed movement. So it just seemed like a natural thing to do, you know?
Yeah. Wow. Well, I've since meeting you, I've followed you on Facebook, the foundation on Facebook, and I've seen some things in the peripherals, but I see there's something going on in Bunbury and some other areas. So what is this spreading? What the collaboration between Willow and the men's shed, is that spreading, or what's happening with the other sheds out there?
It is, Marty. Willow has grown over the years. We became a charity in 2019, and it went from being a little business for Will to now a national charity with the purpose of connection. I realised over the years that there was a huge push around Australia for inclusion. We were being told that we had to include people with disabilities, from government to private sector, from everywhere there was this real push. But my experience has been that we just don't know how to connect. We don't know how to include disability. So it's one thing to say we must, it's another thing to know how to do that. So our charity is really about showing how to connect with kids like Will, or young people like Will. And I also believe that we cannot do that process in isolation.
Right.
And over the years that we've been doing Willow now, the last few years, everywhere we go, the first connection that I make is with men's sheds.
Yeah.
Because not only are they very resourceful, and they can help us curate the exhibitions, and they help us sand the bats, they help us find the bats, but the knowledge, the experience that comes with the membership in men's sheds, I have just found extraordinary.
Yeah.
The two that we're doing this year are in Hayfield in the Gippsland of Victoria, and Bunbury in the southwest of WA. The men's sheds, Maffra, Sale, Hayfield, Bunbury, they have all offered something very unique. So they've helped us find the bats, they've helped us refurbish the bats, they've actually built the stands that the bats go on.
Wow.
But they've also been mentors.
Yeah.
And John is one of my mentors.
Yep.
And I know now with the other sheds, the experience that comes with their membership has been extraordinary. So they provide so much to us. So I'm hoping that wherever we go now, there will be a collaboration.
Yeah.
They are the fabric of many communities.
They are.
Membership, the experience that comes with the memberships is just extraordinary. So
it's terrific.
We can't do without them now.
So basically, we're finding a lot of the disability networks of teaming up with the men's sheds in different areas. Is that how are you connecting? How are you making that connection?
Yeah, that's totally the plan, Marty. I mean, we've designed our shed to be disability friendly. And from the thing I went to yesterday at the Pandam with the Zone 11 men's sheds, a lot of the men's sheds are also doing the same thing. They're making their sheds disability friendly. So it just seems like the right thing to do for men to be able to. I mean, social inclusion includes everybody. Nobody should be,
100%.
From that, and that's what we're all about. So
yeah, and I think a lot of the sheds really want to get involved with that sort of thing,
they do,
but they mightn't know how, or we're not disability support workers. We don't have the training to do all this. This is a very simplistic way of getting involved.
Yeah, it's very easy, and that's what we're doing. We're putting the challenge out there to all the men's sheds. I mean, I've been in touch with Bundanoon Men's Shed in the Highlands here, and they've taken a few bats. And
you're right.
We've had Bulli Wanuna Men's Shed do some cricket bats, who are going to bring them up for our exhibition and things like that. So it'll spread, and I spread the word yesterday at the Zone 11 meeting as well. So
excellent. To get the guys on board, and basically it's here's the thing we can do, guys, for people with disabilities. It's very simple, and it's well within your capability. So wow, fantastic. And so you've got a few pretty high profile patrons now, Ange, too, and I believe that someone at your shed, John, has made a particular special bat.
They did,
and it is going to the Governor General.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, James McMaster, he was a industrial arts teacher, and he loves making models and things like that. And he produced this unbelievable model of the New York City Hudson steam locomotive.
Wow.
He mounted that on top of a cricket bat.
Wow.
And presented it to Angie, and then she sort of talked over with the Governor General, and he was excited to display it at Admiralty House in Sydney. So
wow,
for a while, so as a talking point. So I mean, it's
there you go.
That's the sort of thing that can happen, and promote the fact that Willow are doing good throughout Australia, sort of thing. But it's things that I know there are a lot of men's sheds out there with some very talented sort of craftsmen that can produce these terrific things. It's inspired a few of our members to do other things as well. One of our members' daughter wants to do a cricket bat with a LED light display on it.
Beautiful.
Like so it's
So it's great. It's not just painting now. It's like just go crazy. I had a quick look. I think I saw it on the Facebook page. There was a bar or something. Someone made a little mini bar or something out of a bat.
In Hayfield, an artist that just supported our Hayfield project made a mini bar that you can actually move around, and it's got a redwood table. It's got the glasses hanging down. And on the front of it is one of our cricket bats with the story of Will and everything that's Australian. So there's all these different stories on it. But what happens in the process, sanding anything, especially this little cricket bat, this iconic sporting equipment, it's very cathartic. But it also gives us time to talk. Whilst we're doing this, we talk about inclusion. We talk about what it means to feel like you belong, what it means to feel like you're a part of something. And I think for many men and women who are a part of men's sheds, that's the important thing. They belong somewhere. They have a place where they can go to feel like they are seen, they are supported, and they are included. And that's what Willow's about. We want that for our kids and our families as well. So whilst we're standing these bats, we talk about that, what it feels like to truly feel like you belong. And in the process, we create these incredible pieces of artwork that then go on display. I mean, we've got cricket bats that are in Hollywood. We've got a cricket bat in the High Commission in London.
Wow.
We've got a cricket bat in the Hong Kong Cricket Club.
Wow.
we've got a bat in Government House in Canberra, and now we've got one with the men's shed that's going to Admiralty House.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
And we have the most extraordinary artists who have come on board.
Yeah.
Ben Quilty just did a portrait of Steve Waugh.
Really?
It's going to be up for auction tomorrow night.
Oh, really? Oh, fantastic. There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's more than just sanding a cricket bat.
Yeah.
And for us, the collaboration with the men's shed mean that we can do something of benefit in our communities around Australia. We can have discussion, we can create awareness, and together we can do things which actually make a lot more people feel like they are seen and can belong.
Yeah, and it's a two-way street too, isn't it? The men from the shed are getting it. There's such a I don't know what the word for it is, but the gift of giving. It's something that a lot of people probably don't experience throughout their lifetime. But when you get to the shed and you do something like this, you're doing something to help other people. It's the endorphins that get released from that process.
Yeah.
And you go home feeling proud that you've helped someone, you've supported someone, and feeling great about it. Not to mention the people that are there are taking part of something, like I say, shoulder to shoulder, the men's shed thing. These people can be shoulder to shoulder and part of something.
Exactly right.
And I've had this conversation with many people. I think sometimes we benefit more than the person that we are trying to help.
100%.
We learn to be more compassionate. We learn to be more caring. We learn to put others before ourselves. And that can only be a good thing. That creates a far kinder community and society.
Yeah, fantastic. So you want to, Steve Waugh is another one of your patrons, is he? Is that right?
No, Steve,
all right.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, sorry. All right. Did you get that, Steve?
Working on it.
He's listening.
So I know Steve's a fan of men's sheds. He really understands and gets what you do for so many people. Yeah. But Steve has just put his book out. It's called The Spirit of Cricket, India. And Steve really wanted to find the essence of cricket. And India being such a fantastic cricket-loving country, he went there and he photographed so many moments of homeless kids, of kids with disabilities, of just people playing cricket and the absolute love and joy they got from participating. Yeah. He's done this beautiful book, and tomorrow night he's got an exhibition of those photographs in Sydney. But in the meantime, he decided to do The Spirit of Cricket Australia.
Oh, wow.
And he saw our story. And so I think we're the first story that he has photographed for Australia. And he's invited us to the exhibition tomorrow night. And he's showing some of the photographs that he took of Will just a few weeks ago with Ben Quilty, one of his best mates.
Yeah.
And took all these photographs of Will's spirit.
Wow.
He also came down to our nets here, which are just behind us, and he allowed us all to bowl a few balls.
You're kidding. Really?
And the only person that got him out was Will.
Yes. Legend.
And I think he yelled out, "No ball."
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
So Will's still playing. There's the last over. Is it the last over they call it too? What's that?
Yeah, he does the last over. He plays for Robbo Thirds.
Yeah.
And every single game, every single weekend, they end the game with the last over, which means every single player, even people watching, spectators, kids, everyone runs onto the field and they play for Will, and he does the last over, and they treat it like the test match.
Yeah, that's so good.
Now everywhere we travel around Australia doing Willow, we organise a cricket match. And so there's the cricket club in the towns that we go to, like Hayfield, they do the last over for us. So the exhibition starts with the cricket game, the last over, and then we do the cricket bats.
Wow. So that's another thing that's spreading because of that, not just the bats, there's the cricket clubs and associations that are doing this sort of thing as well, embracing other community members that, brilliant.
There's almost 4,000 cricket clubs that we have around Australia, 3,778 to be exact.
Wow.
And I figure if every club just got one of their teams to do what we do for Will, include him to do the last over, that means there'd be just under 4,000 more people with disabilities having a regular game of cricket every single weekend. Not just being a part of special days or special projects or Special Olympics. They get to be a part of their cricket club every weekend. And that's just one person per club.
Yep. And it's not much to ask, is it? You know, that's,
But the joy that our guys get from watching Will do his last over, it unites the club, the teams at the end of the game. You know, we get our third world problems and who's won, who's lost. Yeah. Everyone's there smiling and joyous, and they shake hands at the end and happy.
Brilliant. So how can we get men's sheds involved? What's the message for the men's sheds and the shedders that are listening to this webinar at the moment? How would you suggest they get involved? What do they do?
Right. I think, you know, all men's sheds have people that have got disabilities or know people that have a disability. Maybe get them there. They'll sand down a cricket bat. Get them working. You get them into the shed themselves. Yeah. And then be in touch. I mean, most of the men's sheds are in touch with or community organisations within their local community, and they can sort of find out who artists are and whatever, and get, if they haven't got anyone in the shed themselves that can sort of do a painting or do a sculpture or do something, get somebody else to paint it. And then by all means, I mean, look, they can talk to me at any time or message me or email me at the Robertson Men's Shed. You know, I'll sort of guide them through. And if we could just get a bat from, say, like Angie mentioned before, one bat done up from every men's shed around Australia, we could run this exhibition, and like Angie says, in Government House in Canberra, I mean, and run the auction and raise money for all these communities to try and get money.
So what would you suggest that maybe if you had a local men's shed, maybe you gather a few of the bats, you do get them all done, painted, and then have an auction in your local community? Or
well,
how's it generally work? Like, how does it work in Bunbury, for example?
Well, what happens at the moment is that the men's sheds support the project that we're doing. We work with communities. So we'll go to Bunbury. We will work with them for 6 to 9 months to set up an exhibition. The exhibition creates awareness around inclusion, because every exhibition brings together about 120 artists from around the country and around the world to support that exhibition. So the men's sheds help find the bats, help us curate that. So the exhibitions basically bring awareness, and they help us to raise money. And then the money goes back into the community to help create projects around inclusion. So that's the way it's worked to date. But what I would love to do is to invite... What I would love to do is to ask every men's shed to find one cricket bat, to find a person in their community who has neurodiversity, diversity, or has any issue around being exclusion or isolated. Bring them in, get them to help sand that bat, get to know them and build a relationship. And with that bat, create something amazing. And what I'd like to do is do an Australian men's shed exhibition with Willow. I'm going to ask the Governor-General of Australia if we can have that hosted at one of his homes.
Aim high, Ange. Just start at the top, yeah?
Yeah. Well, Governor Kim Beazley in Western Australia is currently doing one as well for us. And I'm going to put that as part of this. But to have an amazing exhibition of these bats. But behind that is to talk about community, is to talk about inclusion, is to talk about the value of men's sheds in this process and how we work together with this. Brilliant. But if we got every men's shed just doing one bat, there's 1,200 amazing creations that we could pull together. I think it would be the most extraordinary exhibition of its kind.
You can't help but be inspired by her enthusiasm, hey, John? You don't stand a chance down there.
She's amazing, Marty. She's amazing, Marty.
Yeah, I know. You don't stand a chance. There'd be no rest for you.
No.
Every 10 minutes, John, I've got an idea.
I've got 2022 worked out for him already.
Yeah. Oh my God. Right. Well, I do hope that some people listening, some shedders are listening, and they take this on board and they do get in contact. What is the best way to get in contact with both of you?
Well, I mean, email me, info@robertsonmenshed.org.au.
Yep, beautiful.
It's quite easy. We've got our website there. You can get in, contact us through our website, the robertsonmenshed.org.au.
Yep.
And we
can put a link to us on your website.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, I'll get a link to to
We'll put
on that website. So yeah.
we'll get some photos and we'll put them up on the shed online so people can get some more information there. They get some photos of
Right.
Will. We'll share some links to the foundation, the Facebook. You've got your Facebook page. Is it just Willow, the Facebook page, Ange? Or?
Yeah, it's Willow Where There's a Will.
Where There's a Will, yeah.
And but if you go to our website, www.wheretheresawill.org.au, you will see the links to all of our social media and the various stories. But Marty, I'm going to put the challenge out there. I think
she's driven, mate.
I
think if
don't you ever let a chance go by.
One more thing.
Yes.
Marty, I reckon, if the Australian Men's Shed Association, was to put a bat up and present that, I think that would probably be the incentive for all sheds.
I think that's a great idea. That's a great idea. We'll have to just find someone with an inch of talent in this office who might be able to do something. But,
we heard that was you.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. We'll see. The stick figures. But yes, you don't have to be a budding artist to do it, do you? You just have to have a go and get creative.
Marty, we've had them cut up into fish. We've had electric guitars made out of them.
Wow.
We've had fishing boats, Indonesian fishing boats.
Wow.
I've just had a bat recently, which was a Braille bat, and the message on there was in Braille.
Wow. That's brilliant.
We've had, honestly, 750 bats. You can imagine the variety. So you don't have to paint it. As the Robbo Men's Shed, they made a train.
Yeah.
Wow. Brilliant. We'll definitely put a photo of that one up on the shed online and some other things. But look, guys,
just before you go, Marty, that also the Woodsmith magazine is doing the Australian Woodsmith magazine is doing a 2-page article on the willow and the train that we made.
You're everywhere. So you're everywhere. You're infectious.
Yeah, that's it.
Is that the word?
Someone call that good, mate.
All right. Well, it's a really, really good to speak to you again. I'm sure a lot of people would have got a lot out of listening to you guys today. It's a beautiful collaboration. It's beautiful to see the men's sheds all over Australia getting involved, and we'll hope we get 1,200 bats arrive here in the next few weeks or something. And we'll definitely keep in touch. Yes, I'd love to come down to Robertson again. And
well, anytime you're welcome, mate.
I've got to visit my little wombat that I rescued when I was down there that time too. Yeah, so there you go.
Well, maybe you can loiter at the pub like John does.
Yeah.
Well, I know where to find him. There you go. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much, Marty. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care.